Neither of us touched the drinks that were in front of us. And if you want to play a little Sherlock Holmes, I'll tell you how you can know that.
Well, this is getting rather interesting. The senator from Maryland claims the margaritas in this picture, it was all fake. They never took a sip from it, and it was a trap from El Salvador. I will let the clip speak for itself, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is completely embarrassing.
Now I just want to take a moment. I hadn't planned to do this, but as I was landing on the airplane, I got a transcript of some questions President Trump was asked at the White House today about what I would call Margarita Gate. I don't know if you guys have been following this, but President Bukele, after I met with Kilmar, did this tweet showing us at a table with these two glasses. So here's what happened. When I first sat down with Kilmar, we just had glasses of water on the table. I think maybe some coffee. And as we were talking, one of the government people came over and deposited two other glasses on the table with ice, and I don't know if it was salt or sugar around the top, but they look like margaritas. And if you look at the one they put in front of Kilmar, it actually had a little less liquid than the one in front of me, to try to make it look, I assume, like he drank out of it. Let me just be very clear. Neither of us touched the drinks that were in front of us. And if you want to play a little Sherlock Holmes, I'll tell you how you can know that. So if you look at the video or the picture I sent out from the beginning of our meeting, you'll see there are no glasses on the table. So you'll see in later videos they are on the table. But they made a little mistake. For some people are very careful, right? If you sip out of one of those glasses, some of whatever it was, salt or sugar, would disappear. You would see a gap. There's no gap. Nobody drank any margaritas or sugar water or whatever it is. But this is a lesson into the lengths that President Bukele will do to deceive people about what's going on. And it's also shows the lengths that the Trump administration and the president will go to, because when he was asked about a reporter about this, he just went along for the ride. Now, I want to say something about the government of El Salvador. They are making a huge mistake. They want to brand themselves as a country for technology. The president said, Bitcoin is legal tender. But now what they're branding themselves as the place for these huge prisons where people who are illegally abducted are warehoused. That is not a good look. There are also other things Americans can do with respect to economic pressure on El Salvador. People can stop traveling there. Actually, tourism's been going up. They can stop traveling there. There may be states that decide, they don't want any of their pension funds invested in companies that invest in a place like El Salvador.
Alright, so I don't want to waste your time. Basically, the gist of the entire press conference is, well, we're gonna do whatever it takes to get Mr. Kilmar back home. At the same time, basically threatening El Salvador. I didn't know that one senator has that authority to even do that. Now, ironically enough, Stephen Miller had this to say before the press conference. This gets pretty intense.
I'm almost at a loss for words for how outrageous it is. Here's an individual, the man who has been deported to his home country of El Salvador, who has been repeatedly documented by multiple federal and state authorities to be a member of MS-13, one of the most violent and ruthless criminal organizations on planet Earth, which is now a designated foreign terrorist organization, and an individual who has been incredibly implicated in human smuggling and human trafficking, an individual who is a documented woman beater, somebody who has viciously assaulted a woman in ways that shock the human conscience. That is who the Democrat Party is going to provide aid, solace, and comfort to, not to Senator Van Hollen's own constituents, like the Morin family. Rachel Morin was viciously beaten, brutally and murdered, and her mother never even got a phone call from Senator Van Hollen. Or Kayla Hamilton, a young girl who was attacked in a public restaurant, raped in the bathroom, and beaten to death and murdered by an illegal alien that Joe Biden set free into the country, none of those people elicit human sympathy from Senator Van Hollen. How broken is that man's heart? How broken is his conscience that he doesn't have even an ounce of empathy or time or concern to share with those families? Or how many of his citizen constituents have been killed by the fentanyl that Joe Biden allowed into this country, by the cartels that made a fortune off of human trafficking and smuggling into this country, or the children in his state that cannot even get a good education or good health care because of the mass migration that has occurred into his state? None of that concerns him in the least. You know, his heart is reserved for an illegal alien who's a member of a foreign terrorist organization. I'm beyond appalled.
Now, I do want to point out the theatrics are being called out right now by Republicans and conservatives, and people are rather upset. I mean, check out this comparison.
I called Jennifer to tell her that I had met with Kilmar. And I told her what he said to me, which was first and foremost that he missed her and his family. And as he said that, you could see a tear go down his cheek. Now, getting a meeting with Kilmar was not easy.
What are your thoughts on your senator going to bat for this illegal, but did he ever say anything to you and your family about your loss, to ever call you, ever take the time to be with you?
No, actually, I'm very angry. I'm actually outraged, but I'm too sad at the moment to show anger at the same time. He did not call our family. He did not give condolences. There was no action on the Democratic Party in any way, from Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Mayorkas, anyone here in Maryland. None of the senators did anything to help search for the murder.
So again, as you can see, quite the contrast how this mother, she has lost her daughter for a while now. This is not an overnight thing. It just so happens that this senator is willing to travel all the way to El Salvador when this mother, she pays taxes. And by the way, her taxes went to this trip. Obviously, I mean, all of our taxes do. But one thing I do want to point out is that Republicans are like, hold on, there's quite the contrast here. Why are you going all in for this man who's not an American citizen? And why are you not sticking up for this mother who is an American citizen from your state?
Kara, really remarkable details in terms of describing. I mean, let's be honest, those photos were first consumption on social media.
Sure,
right?
That's what they're designed for.
Which you are, of course, an expert on. He said, look, they made a mistake. If we'd actually taken a drink of those margaritas, there would have been a little indentation in that line of salt.
Right. Well, this is where we are, right? Chuck and I were just saying that. And the thing is, this is where we are, because everything is done in these narratives, in these reductive narratives. Look, they were drinking and hanging out and partying. And so it's really important that he did say that we did not drink these. One of the things the Democrats don't do as well is understand the reductive nature of information right now, and therefore they have to push back. We didn't drink the drinks. This is not Margaritaville, et cetera, et cetera. And so I thought it was good for him to explain what the situation was. It doesn't matter. There'll be a conspiracy theory about it anyway.
Yeah, and so yeah, here you can see, this is why he was referencing it. It's a little hard to even see, but it's the
but
one
I
with
see what
the
he's
little,
talking about. You
right,
see,
the
there's
cherry.
there's no.
Yeah, this is what we're doing.
And
we're expert.
We need to take that
drinkers.
big again. I'm sorry, Julian. If we could get the whole, there we go.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see, and again, Van Hollen was saying that rim. He wasn't sure if it was salt or it was sugar. The President Bukele referenced them as margaritas. They don't really appear to be that way, at least the way we know them here in the U.S. But again, Van Hollen noting you can't see this. I mean, Mo, to this broader point, I mean, this is where we are. I will say there's some criticism of Van Hollen for these optics. He clearly felt like he needed to clear it up, right?
I am actually shocked how far CNN is willing to go to not realize the margaritas are not the main point. Obviously, the president of El Salvador or whoever was in charge, they could have been trolling. But the point is, and this is what everyone is upset about, is that this man is an illegal immigrant. But again, if anything, we're seeing like the 180 switch of, well, you guys are focusing on the margaritas, but it was a complete trap. You should be focusing on the situation. The American public, we are focusing on the situation. Again, I really don't even think people care that much about the margaritas. People care about the circumstances and the time you took to go all the way down there. And by the way, our own senator was talking complete trash about El Salvador this whole time. Go and watch my other videos. It's so embarrassing.
I'm here with Chris Newman, who is the attorney for the wife and mother of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And we just tried to go visit him in prison just to check on his conditions. Is he doing okay? Because nobody has any communication with him since he was illegally abducted from Maryland and sent to CCOT prison in El Salvador, which is a U.S. District Court judge said was a violation of all his due process rights. Today's purpose was just to see what his health condition is. And these soldiers were ordered to prevent us from going any farther from this spot. I understand we're about 3 kilometers now from CCOT. And as you can see, they're letting other cars go by, but they stopped us because they're under orders not to allow us to proceed.
And again, our senator was standing in a roadway before trying to meet with Mr. Kilmar, putting security guards on camera, could care less about, their safety and their families. Again, this is a complete PR disaster, and I wouldn't be surprised if some members of government look into, hold on, is this a bit of overreach, or what is actually going on here behind the scenes? And again, I'm just trying to show you guys the totality of all of this really has nothing to do with the margaritas. If anything, maybe we can all agree this could have been a complete troll by the El Salvadorian government, but also it's because they're even realizing this is completely ludicrous. I mean, he is an El Salvadorian citizen, so why are we skipping over that point? So there you go. It looks like the El Salvadorian saga has ended for now. Considering the Trump administration, El Salvador are in total agreement he's not coming back to the United States. Now we just have to wait and see if more and more members of our government fly down to El Salvador. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys for everything. God bless, and we'll see you all later.